greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me here as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, a little bit of television, all that kinds of good stuff. And we've got a few things to talk about here today, but really, today is the final John Campea Show until Christmas. And it might even be the final John Campea Show till New Year's. Now, I'm going to be doing other videos through the holiday season. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing our open spoiler review for Bumblebee. Sunday, we'll do our open spoiler discussion for Aquaman. That's going to come Sunday. And then I'll be doing open mics from Canada. Now, just a warning, the video quality of the show won't be nearly as good as it is from here, because up at the Campea Ranch, which is in the middle of nowhere, we have spotty internet, and I'm not going to have my good cameras or my good lights, but I am going to be doing open mics, because I remember last year I went up there and we all loved still talking about movies through the holidays. I'm going to be putting up my top 10 best films of the year, my top 10 worst films of the year, all that kind of stuff from Canada before the end of the new year as well. Now, before we get into the movie stuff today, I just wanted to share something with you guys and say a couple things. It's been a great year. For me personally, it's just been a fantastic, wonderful year. Last year, a little over halfway through last year, I made the decision to go solo and just start my own YouTube channel from home and blah, 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 and do all that kind of stuff. And it was working out great. But this year really solidified it. And it has been a wonderful year. And thank you guys so much for that. And to kind of highlight that, now, it was a while ago that I crossed that this YouTube channel crossed the 100,000 view mark. But it was just yesterday, finally, that YouTube sent their platinum play button, the plaque, to me, commemorating the crossing 100,000 views. See if I can get it in an angle that you can actually see it well. So this showed up yesterday, and it made me pause for a moment when it showed up to kind of reflect on things. You see, this is the third one of these I've gotten. This is the John Campea YouTube channel is the third YouTube channel I've taken up over 100,000 subscribers, and we've gotten similar recognitions. But for obvious reasons, this one meant the most, and this one is the most special. I mean, we've added like 45,000 new subscribers since we crossed 100,000, but this one to me meant the most. And it just made me reflect on how lucky I am as we head into the new year as well, and into the Christmas season. How lucky I am to be able to do what I love. And how lucky I am to have you guys who have supported me and been here and really made this community with me. And I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to all you guys who have been here all along the way. Thank you guys who have been just joined us maybe recently, maybe even this year. But I just wanted to give you a very heartfelt thank you. And here's looking forward to 2019. We've got some really cool things lined up for 2019. Obviously, we started making some changes this year. I'm very excited. So just overall, guys, happy holidays. And thank you for being one of the big reasons why 2018 was a really special year for me. And I can't wait going into 2019 and all the things we get to do together. So thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. All right. Let's get things started here. There's one topic I have here that I want to talk about, and then we're just going to use the rest of the day for all open mic stuff. So you guys have already been firing in a whole bunch of live questions, and we'll get to all those in just a bit. But I want to talk about this. The weekend of death that we've all been looking really started this week. I mean, we had Spider-Verse open up. We had Mortal Engines, which completely flopped. And now we're in the weekend that Bumblebee, Mary Poppins is now open, Bumblebee's now open, and Aquaman is now open. And I'm reflecting back on something that, Robert Meyer Burnett said during our last episode of Heroes, of our weekly hero show, where he said, Aquaman's here, and I listed Aquaman as my number 5 favorite comic book movie of the year, ahead of Ant-Man and the Wasp and Venom. Rob actually listed Aquaman as his second favorite one, just behind Infinity War. But one of the things Rob said that was interesting, he goes, but I really believe this Aquaman film is going to be a really divisive film amongst fans. I think there's going to be, Rob's got it listed as his number 2 favorite, but he thinks there's going to be a lot of fans that don't like it. which is interesting. The other one that's, of course, opening up right now is Bumblebee. Now, the interesting thing about both Bumblebee and Aquaman are these are both films that belong to franchises that have not made it easy for these two movies. Just the DCEU has been a very divisive franchise. The Transformers franchise has just been a dumpster fire after the first film ever since. So both of these films, Bumblebee and Aquaman, have faced a lot of skepticism moving in. However, lo and behold, here we are. The weekend is here. Aquaman's coming out. Bumblebee's coming out. And wouldn't you know, critics like both of them. They tend to like Bumblebee a little bit more, but, you know, Aquaman right now is sitting at 67, 68%, which roughly means like 7 out of every 10 critics like the film. Bumblebee is sitting at like 95%, somewhere around there somewhere. It's just about everybody likes it. So we've got Bumblebee and Aquaman. They did their job with the critics. They've got the critics on board with both of them. But now reflecting back on something that Robert said, the whole thing about, he thinks the audience will be very, very divided over these films, particularly over Aquaman. And Aquaman's the one that has potential there. So the movie's now in theaters wide. It played in its special advance preview last weekend, but now it's open in theaters wide. Everybody can go see this movie. And I'll tell you what, I am curious to see how people are going to respond, because the one thing about this Aquaman movie is it is weird. It's a bonkers movie. It's completely bonkers. Sometimes there's some of us who think, oh, bonkers sounds great. There are other people that no, bonkers doesn't work for them. They don't want bonkers. Anybody can do bonkers. That's how some people think. You know, give a 5-year-old a film camera, he'll make something that's bonkers, you know. So will the audience like it? Now, I really enjoyed Aquaman. I had a great time with Aquaman. I had a lot of fun with it. I do think, however, that this weekend, the better movie is Bumblebee. I actually think the better movie this weekend is Bumblebee. And that's kind of the one to see. So where do I fall on this, and how do I think the audiences will respond? Well, first of all, I think the audiences will like Bumblebee more. I think, you know, Bumblebee, to me, is the slightly better movie. And it has enough stuff in there that I think is going to appeal to more people. Like, I think more people are going to come walking out of Bumblebee having had a good time than Aquaman. Because I think there's going to be a number of people that, like, to Robert's point, I think there are going to be a number of people that come walking out of Aquaman that are not going to be satisfied. They're going to walk out of Aquaman going, that was just too weird. It was too out there, whatever. However, I don't think it's going to be nearly as divisive as, like, say, films like Justice League or Batman versus Superman were. I do think there's going to be a number of people that Aquaman rubs them the wrong way, but I think for the most part, I think the audience is going to be more reflective of the critics, where it's like, hey, yeah, like 7 out of 10 like it. And I think it's going to be closer to that. I don't think it's going to be 50-50. I think it's going to be more like 70-75 to 20-25 is where I think that's going to fall in. That's where I think it's going to come in. But what do you guys think? How do you think audiences, as you analyze these two movies, how do you think audiences are going to respond? We already know how the critics responded. How do you think the audiences are going to respond to Bumblebee and Aquaman? I'd love to know your thoughts. Jump down to the comments section below and let me know what you guys think. Okay. With that out of the way now, guys, let's spend the rest of this final Friday before Christmas to jump in and take live questions. You guys have already been sending in a whole bunch of them. Let's get to those right now. And we're going to start things off here with Vrinder Singh. And Vrinder Singh writes, hey, John, it's my birthday. Happy birthday, Vrinder. I've joined the 40s Club today. That's awesome. I don't know whether to feel sad or happy. Hey, a lot of people don't make it to the 40s Club, man, so be very, very happy. What's the alternative? We'll be having a Star Wars themed party tomorrow with the family. That's awesome. And then Vrinder follows up. Funny story. I watched Black Klansman yesterday. Great film, by the way. I love Black Klansman. It's going to end up in my top 5 for 2018. It's going to end up in my top 5. Funny story, watched Black Klansman yesterday. Great film, by the way. Don't think I've seen the lead actor before, and I kept thinking, why is this guy trying to imitate Denzel's voice? Well, the reason, so you followed that up. You followed that up with Vrinder. It was really getting to me, so I had to hit pause and Google his name, and what did I find? Of course, he is Denzel's son. I was going to say, the reason he may sound a lot like Denzel Washington is because he is Denzel Washington's son. That's who he is. He's Denzel Washington's son. It's like watching Straight Compton. Why is this guy trying to act like Ice Cube? Well, number one, he's trying to play Ice Cube, and number two, he's actually Ice Cube's son. Same situation here. It is that. And you know, Black Panther to me is a super special movie. That movie was held. I think it is the finest. I'm not going to say it's the best film Spike Lee has ever made, but I will say that I think it is the best direction Spike Lee has ever given to a film. Because doing a movie like that with the subject matter that it has, you could very easily have just gone extremely heavy-handed and had the weight of the movie really burden the audience down with how heavy it is. And in trying to introduce comedy, you could have made it silly and slapsticky and lost the message. Spike Lee directed this film in such a... And I'm not the world's biggest Spike Lee fan, but Spike Lee directed this film in such a way that he beautifully emphasized the heaviness of the subject matter while in perfect proportion dropping in a little bit of comedy and levity throughout it to keep it from getting too weighed down. And it does a really nice... Black Klansman does a beautiful job of riding that line of the perfect balance between the heaviness and the seriousness of the subject matter versus trying to bring a little bit of levity to it, let the audience laugh every once in a while through all this horrible stuff at the same time. And it's handled so well that by the time the movie ended, I was just like, bravo. Beautiful filmmaking. It honestly, again, I'm not saying it's Spike Lee's best movie ever, but easily, in my opinion, the best direction he's ever given to a film. I think he did it masterfully. And kudos to that movie, and kudos to Spike Lee for that film, and kudos to you, Vrender, for your birthday. Happy birthday, man. I hope you have a great one with your family. All right, let's move on to the next one here. And the next one here comes to us from Ben Hayusa, who writes, so, I had to catch a 7:30 only early showing of Bumblebee last night. Got off work late, rushed to get there, but the power is out at the theater. That sucks, man. Oh, that sucks, especially when it's a movie you're really super looking forward to. I'm trying to remember which the movie was. I think it was it Rogue One? I can't remember if it was Rogue One, Last Jedi, or The Force Awakens. I suspect it might have been Force Awakens. Anyway, at the AMC Burbank 16, there was like one of the theaters. People were in line. People were waiting years to see this movie. And then they were waiting in line for hours. And now it's time's here, blah, blah, blah. And the projector, I think, broke down. And it got all over social media because like they had to call the police to the theater and all that kind of, it got ugly. So I don't think Bumblebee is going to elicit that type of reaction, but that sucks, man. Well, I hope you get a chance to see it soon here, Ben, because it is a great movie. First time I've enjoyed a Transformers movie in a long time. Since that first Transformers movie, this is the first one I've actually enjoyed. So I hope you get a chance to get out there and see it, enjoy it, and I hope you have a great day. All right, Amin writes, I rewatched the Dark Knight trilogy the other day. Even though I recognize Rises is the weakest, I still really enjoy it. I still really enjoy them all. Great cast and story. You know, I mean, there's the Dark Knight trilogy, and I agree. I think Rises is probably the weak link in the chain, but it's still good. I mean, that's how good this trilogy is. One of them is clearly the weakest one, and even that one is still quite good. Dark Knight Rises is quite good. But it doesn't compare, in my opinion at any rate, it doesn't compare to Batman Begins, and it certainly doesn't compare to The Dark Knight. But whatever. There are good things and bad things about the Dark Knight trilogy. The good things is obvious. They're awesome movies. The bad thing that it did, though, is that it set a bar for what DC movies could and maybe should be. The problem, of course, is that it's almost impossible to live up to that bar. And then as movies like Man of Steel came out, and while I think Man of Steel is a masterpiece of the genre, I put The Dark Knight over Man of Steel. It's almost unfair that all the DC films that have come out have had to, and look, comparing them to the Dark Knight trilogy is totally fair. It's the same character. It's the same comic book, genre. It's from the same studio. It's totally fair to compare them. Unfortunately, very few things will compare favorably to Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. So there's good and bad out of that at the same time. So I don't know, man. So there have been good things coming out of that. There have been bad things coming out of that. I mean, it is what, but the Dark Knight trilogy is absolutely fantastic. And here's the thing. I think a lot of people need to keep this in mind. There were people who wanted the DCU to carry the same kind of tone and the same everything that the Dark Knight trilogy did. But here's why this is unfair. This is the biggest reason. Why couldn't the DCU maintain and do a good job of being grounded and real and gritty? You know why? Because Christopher Nolan never had to deal with gods. Christopher Nolan never had to deal with super beings. Christopher Nolan never had to work with the supernatural or magic or, like I said, the powers of the gods. He never had to deal with the fairy tale elements of comic book stories. Christopher Nolan only dealt with Batman, and he made sure in his universe there was no Superman, there was no Wonder Woman, there was no Aquaman, there was no Flash, there was no Green Lantern, there was no magic or meta in Christopher Nolan's universe. So for him to be able to make the Dark Knight trilogy feel more real and grounded was a hell of a lot easier because he was dealing with real people. Not that Bruce Wayne is a real person, but he's just a regular human being with a lot of money and a lot of skills. But there was no Greek gods. There were no Atlanteans. There was no planet of Krypton. There was none of that fantastical stuff. It's stuff that had to be in the Dark Knight trilogy. As we move into the DCEU, they face challenges that Christopher Nolan did not have to face. How do you make it feel really authentic and really real and really grounded when you have a man in blue spandex who can shoot laser beams out of his eyes and has the power of the gods? How do you do it at that point? Christopher Nolan is the best filmmaker to ever make a DC film, but at the same time, when it comes to making things real and gritty and grounded, Christopher Nolan had a massive advantage over all the other people who tried to make DC Universe material. And that is, he made it real because he didn't have to deal with material that was outside of the real. He didn't have to work with men who can breathe in outer space or run at the speed of light or whatever. He didn't have to deal with that. He just dealt with the regular world. And therefore, it felt more real and more grounded. And then when we go, well, why couldn't Batman versus Superman feel as real and grounded as The Dark Knight? Because they had alien beings with superpowers and laser beams coming out of their eyes. That's why it was a lot harder to make that feel real and gritty and grounded. Now, I'm not saying those movies would have been as good as The Dark Knight, even if they accomplished that. It wouldn't have been. The Dark Knight's on a different level, for sure. But, yeah, I mean, so there's positive and negatives that come along with that, Amin. Anyway, thanks for asking. All right, Evil Eye writes, hey, John, will there ever be another Bourne movie? I don't know. I mean, Greengrass and Matt Damon have both talked about it. And, I think they've both said they'd be open to it. But I'll tell you what, I don't even know that I want another one. The last one was bad. The last one they made was bad. Everybody will have their own opinion, of course, but you're asking me, so I'm going to tell you, it was bad. And it was the first Bourne movie that I couldn't wait for it to end so I could just get out of the theater. Also, I do not believe it did all that great at the box office. Let me pull it up here. I can't even remember the name of the last Bourne movie, so I'm just going to look up Bourne movies at the box office. All right, here we go. Bourne movies at the box. Okay, the last one was Jason Bourne. That was that one. It was the third highest grossing, domestically at any rate. It ended up making $415 million on a $120 million budget. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. The problem was, though, it was a poor movie. I don't think audiences liked it very much. I can't remember if the critics liked it all that much or not, to be honest with you. So my guess, and again, this is just a guess, my guess right now is that they won't do another one. I think Matt Damon's moving on to other things and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they might. There's huge value in properties and IPs and things of that nature, so they might do it. But I gotta tell you, I'm not going to be rushing out to buy my tickets for it. Unless I hear it's amazing. Otherwise, yeah, there goes that. All right, let's see here. Amin writes, let me try that again. What's more likely, or what do you think will happen? We don't have an Oscar host this year, or they get Kimmel back again, or they find somebody else. Well, I mean, it's going to be one of those three. They definitely get a host. I think they definitely get a host. That's just part of the tradition of the Oscars. They get a host. I do think they're in a position right now where the best thing to do you remember, I've mentioned this before, but do you remember they did that one year where James Franco and, why am I forgetting her name? I'm looking at, she was Catwoman in the Dark Knight Rises, and I'm freezing on her name. Anyway, Anne Hathaway. There we go. That one year that James Franco and Anne Hathaway hosted the Oscars, it was a disaster. Absolute disaster. So what did they do? They went back to a safer choice after that. And I think was it Billy Crystal the following? I can't remember, but they went back to something safer the following year. Just to get the ships headed in the right direction again. I think what will ultimately happen here is that the Oscars will get a safe choice for host for this year. Whether that means going back to a Steve Martin, whether that means going back to a Kimmel, whether that means getting Billy Crystal back, whether that means whatever, I think the best move for them right now is to go to a safe choice just to steady everything and then, try pushing the envelope again next year. Will that happen? I don't know. But I think that's probably the best thing for them to do, and it's what I'd probably put my money on at this point. But we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's see here. Spencer Main writes, your top 10 comic book movies. Well, Spencer, I don't like doing, with questions like these, I don't like doing, what's your top 5? What's your top 10? I don't like doing those here. But I've put out my top 10 list before. The best thing to do is go to my YouTube channel, just search top 10 comic book movies, and you should find lists that I've done there without too much problem. Let's see here. Dr. Panders writes, I'm going to see Aquaman today, and I'm super excited. I'm going into this movie only having watched Man of Steel. Will I miss out on any Easter eggs from previous DCE movies? Easter eggs, yes. Of course you'll miss out on Easter eggs, but are you able to, as an audience member, just go into Aquaman and just watch the movie? And will you be able to get what's going on and get the movie without having watched all the other stuff? Yes. Yeah, no problem. There's going to be a few references you won't understand what they meant. There's going to be a few Easter eggs here and there you won't understand, that you won't even catch. They'll go right over your head, but that doesn't really matter. When it comes to the main body of the movie, are you going to, as an audience member, be able to get and understand what's going on in this story, having not seen any of the other stuff? Yes. Of that I can absolutely say yes. There's a line in Aquaman where she goes, you defeated Steppenwolf. That's the only reference to any of the other movies. That is the only reference to any of the... One quick little throwaway line is the only thing that connects this movie to the rest of the DCEU. One very quick throwaway line that if you sneezed when it was being said and you missed it, you would never know that this movie was connected to the rest of the DCEU. And that's it. So, yes, Doctor, I think you're going to be able to walk into Aquaman, no problem. Will you be able to appreciate some of the smaller detail stuff? Had you seen the other movies? Yes, but those are just the small little things. You'll be able to get the movie, no worries. All right. Sebastian writes, I don't like 3D, but Aquaman in IMAX 3D is amazing. I'm hearing from some people, there are 2 movies out right now. Now, I don't just dislike 3D. I hate it. I think 3D is a blight on moviegoing. That's just my opinion. It doesn't mean you have to share that opinion. But I have heard from a couple of people, Sebastian, yourself included now, who also don't hate 3D as much as me. They just don't like it. But saying there are 2 films in theaters right now that are actually pretty good to watch in 3D. One is Aquaman and one is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So those are the 2. And thankfully, both are good movies. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, one of the best movies of the year. Oh my God. I went to watch it again yesterday. After we finished the John Campea Show, I treated Ray and fact-checker Jonathan, because neither of them had seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse yet. So when we were done the John Campea Show, I said, guys, shut down the studio. We're taking the rest of the day off. I'm taking you guys to go see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So we went off to see it, and I love that movie, man. I've seen it 3 times now. I got to see it more. But yes, I absolutely loved it. But yeah, those are films that people are saying they're actually liking in 3D. Nosferatu writes, you done messed up, A.A. Ron, Keegan, Michael Key. Oh my God. That's, they're supposed to be, for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, Key and Peele did this sketch with the substitute teacher. And Keegan-Michael Key plays a substitute teacher from the inner city who's at just a standard white high school doing everything right. And he's mispronouncing everybody's name. Like instead of Aaron, he's saying, okay, A.A. Ron. Where's A.A. Ron? It is one of the funniest things they've ever done. As a matter of fact, they were supposed to do, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, they announced that they were developing a substitute movie. They're going to do a whole movie based on that character. Sign me up. Now, I don't know if you can take that 3-minute sketch and stretch it into an hour and a half long movie. I don't know, but I'll give it a shot if they do it. But I haven't heard anything about it since, so I don't even know if that's still happening. Spencer Main writes, has Robert Meyer Burnett seen Spider-Verse yet? He was supposed to go see it last night. I don't know if he did or not. I know he's been dying to see it. I did not talk to him yesterday. I have not spoken with him today yet. But I'm probably going to talk to him a little bit later on this afternoon. I'll find out. But I don't know. But he's been trying. But, he's working on like 2 movies right now. He's working on this Jewish musical comedy called Tango Shalom, which sounds hilarious. And he's working on a sci-fi short film that he's like producing and editing and just doing all types of work. So he's been really buried in work, and he's been wanting to go out to see it, but he hasn't had a chance. So I'll let you know. I'm sure he'll let you know as soon as he has a chance to see it. And Min writes, when will we see your best and worst films of 2018? Before the end of the year. These are videos I'll do from the Campea Ranch up in Canada when I go up there to visit my family. But there's still 1 or 2 films I need to see. I still haven't seen Vice. I still haven't seen Vice, so I can't do my list before I've seen Vice. So I'll probably get a chance to see that when I get up to Canada, and then I will do those lists. But rest assured, both of those lists will come before the end of the year. They will both be up before January 31st. All right, let's move on here, and we are now up to Aaron Strelinsky, who writes, just rewatched Thor 1 and 2, and I could listen to an entire movie of Anthony Hopkins as Odin just narrating the stories of Asgard's history. Dude, that's one of the best things they ever did. How they managed to pull off getting Anthony Hopkins in these movies is beyond me. But I remember I was at a press day for the first Thor and had a chance to ask Anthony Hopkins, like, dude, you're an Academy Award winner. You've done all this stuff. What was the appeal for the comic book movies? He said his grandkids. He thought his grandkids would get a kick out of seeing him in one of these superhero movies. And he just happened to play the biggest badass of them all, the All-Father Odin. Yeah, no big deal. I'm just playing Odin, kiddies. I'm Thor's daddy. I can smack Thor around. That's who I'm playing, grandkids. How cool is that? But absolutely, I could just listen to him narrate, and I hate it. Like, a lot of people talk about the humor of Thor Ragnarok, and yes, it's by far the heaviest of the comedy out of all the Thor movies, for sure. But there's a lot of dark stuff that happens in Thor Ragnarok. A lot of dark stuff. Not the least of which, Thor loses an eye, Mjolnir gets destroyed, thousands of Asgardians die. This is even before they leave Asgard. Thousands of Asgardians die. The planet of Asgard, the eternal world, Asgard gets destroyed, and then, of course, Odin dies. There is so much dark... and people look at me funny when I would tell people Thor is the darkest movie the MCU's ever done. And they go, what are you talking about? It's pure comedy. It's pure comedy. I say, oh, yeah, the surface stuff is comedy. They laugh along the way, but go underneath that surface. It is riddled with dark, dark stuff. Heavy, heavy, bad things happen in Thor Ragnarok, my friends. Lots of bad things. And and that's part of the brilliance of it, right? It's that great, kind of like what Spike Lee did. It's the juxtaposition of having some of the heaviest, darkest stuff ever happen in the MCU, balanced against making comedy along the ways you're doing it. And it really struck a chord with audiences. Audiences loved it, and there you go. Let's see. Murray Reich writes, the song in Mary Poppins Returns, The Place Where Lost Things Go, I love that song. It's my favorite part of the movie, is so powerful. It me hard in my heart. I'm guessing you meant it hit you hard in your heart. It's true. Nothing is lost forever, only out of place. But you know what? That's wonderful. Let me continue reading Murray's things here. I lost my father 8 years ago in a car accident. I was very close to him, but people always tell me I look and act and smile like him. This movie will have a special place in my heart for that song itself. Listen, I gave a lukewarm review to Mary Poppins. It's good. I like Mary Poppins Returns. It's a good movie. Emily Blunt is stupid good in it. Like, just stupid, ridiculously good in it. She's crazy in it. But overall, I think it had script problems. I think it has major story issues. And some things in the movie kind of render the rest of the movie pointless. But by far, the best part of that movie to me, Murray, was that Where the Lost Things Go song. It's the highlight of the movie. And it is moving. And it's powerful. And, you know, my wife, we're getting close to 2 years ago. It's not quite 2 years, but my wife lost her father recently. My father-in-law died. And she was very close with her dad. And I remember when that part was going on, you know, I just reached, as that song was being sung, I just reached over and held my wife's hand. And it was very emotional for her too. It's the best part of the movie. It's by far the best part of the movie. And it's a song, I still don't understand how Ashes from Deadpool 2 didn't get nominated for Best Song. I can just assume that there was a technical reason that it didn't qualify. That's the only thing I've got. But Where the Lost Things Go, had Ashes gotten a nomination, the only song I'm comfortable, more than any song from A Star Is Born or anything like that, the only song I would have been comfortable with beating Ashes is this one. It's moving, it's sweet, it's emotional, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's just an absolutely beautiful tune that I think when a lot of you see it, it will make you think about precious things you've lost or precious people you've lost. And it's a wonderful song. It's a wonderful moment in the movie. And I'm glad, you know, and that's what movies are all about, Murray, right? Movies are about experiences. I say this all the time. The purpose of a movie is to deliver an experience, whether that experience is laughter or excitement or fear or wonder or introspection or disgust or dread or whatever. The whole point of the movies is to give the viewer an experience, whatever kind of experience that is you're going for. And that scene is a great example of why I love the movies. You go in and, you know, it was a special moment that I got to just reach over and grab my wife's hand as that song was playing, knowing we're thinking about her dad. I mean, that's one of the great things about the movies, man. And I'm glad you were able to have that experience with them, Murray. And thanks for sharing that. That was really nice. All right. Chris Warden writes, apart from The Rock and maybe Tom Cruise to a certain extent, are there any other actors working today that can still draw just off their name? You know, even The Rock, you even put Dwayne The Rock Johnson in your movie does not guarantee it's going to do huge. Let me see here. What was the name of The Rock? James. Let me just pull this up here. Dwayne Johnson movies box office. I'm trying to remember the name of the one with that was kind of looked a little bit like Die Hard. Skyscraper. I mean, Skyscraper probably ended up losing money. It made $300 million, but it was $125 million to make. When you add marketing costs, marketing distribution costs, and then you minus the amount that the theaters keep, you're getting close to a movie that maybe might have lost a little bit of money. And it only made $67 million in the domestic box office, period. Had an opening weekend at $24 million. So putting Dwayne The Rock Johnson in something does not guarantee people are going to go see it. Same with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise has put out a lot of films that have not done impressively at the box office. Some great films, but a lot of films that don't do impressively. I think you can make an argument that there is no actor today that you can just drop that actor in and it guarantees people will see the movie. I just don't think that exists anymore. There are certainly actors who have a bigger influence than others. Dwayne Johnson has a bigger influence over how many people will go see a movie than, I don't know, Brian Cox, the great actor. But for the most part, I just don't know. The last time you could legitimately say there's an actor who's so hot right now, put him in anything, it's going to be a big hit, it was Will Smith. But that's going back a ways. That's going back a lot of years. Because it hasn't been that way for Will Smith like lately. But I mean, there was a time, I think he was the last one, that you just drop Will Smith in a movie, it's going to be a hit. I just don't know that it exists anymore. Now, putting an actor like Dwayne Johnson, look, the movie Skyscraper made $304 million. Does that movie make $304 million if anybody else is in that movie other than Dwayne Johnson? Probably not. So there's still influence, but nothing that's just like an automatic. And I think you probably named the two names right there that are probably the closest to the top of that. It's The Rock and Tom Cruise to an extent, but I don't know if there's anybody else that carries that kind of weight. So it's interesting. Something we'll have to look at, see how that evolves over the next few years. Sebastian writes, today is my 10th A-list movie this month at 1995. Dude, A-list is so great. A-list is so great. You know, it was funny because Robert and I were talking about this the other day, and Robert does not have A-list yet. And he goes, I keep hearing people talking about A-list. Is it actually worth it? And I listed off the laundry list. Dude, here's all the reasons you want to get A-list. He was like, it can't be that good. I'm like, dude, it's that good. He goes, what's the catch? I'm like, there's no catch. $20 a month, any movie, any theater, anytime. And you get 3 movies a week. Go for $20 a month. It's crazy. The only down thing is that you're going to find you're in the theater so much, you're spending $200 a month just on popcorn and soda. I mean, that's the only drawback, is because you're at the theater so much, you're spending so much at the concession stand. But other than that, no catch. Which is, by the way, how AMC makes it worth their while to do this movie plan. Because they make all their money on the concession stands. But yeah, it's a great thing to have. George Costanza writes, hope you have a good Festivus for the rest of us. Don't forget to get a poll, John. Well, the most important thing, of course, with Festivus is the airing of the grievances and feats of strength. And yes, I got to get a poll. We'll hang it up in the corner. But the airing of the grievances. Now it's time for the airing of the grievances. One of the best Seinfeld moments of all time, man. One of the best Seinfeld moments of all time. All right. Murray Reich writes, which 2019 movie will break your heart the most if it disappoints you? Lion King. Lion King. Now, obviously, I'm looking forward to Star Wars Episode 9 more. But I mean, I don't know. I think the one that is most set to disappoint me would be Lion King, because my expectations are so through the roof for Lion King. Not just because the original is so great, but because we just saw what Jon Favreau does with these animals in live action looking media when he did Jungle Book, which is so great. So I'm expecting the moon. It's actually unrealistic and unfair how high my expectations are for Lion King. And I'm not saying Lion King's gonna be the best movie of the year, but I don't know that there's not Avengers Endgame, not Star Wars Episode 9, nothing else could disappoint me more than Lion King. That one will crush me if that one's not any good, because my expectations are so high right now, man. I'm upset writes, more likely to flop, Marwen, Holmes and Watson, or Second Act. Well, I think they're all going to flop, but I mean, Welcome to Marwen. I told you the story. I returned my tickets for it. I saw that it had, number one, I saw that, they're holding the review embargo until the day before the movie comes out. That's never good. That's always a sign that the studio doesn't believe in the film. So clearly, the studio sent a very loud message. We don't believe in this movie, by holding the review embargo until the day before. So even right there, I was already like, so this movie I was really looking forward to is probably going to suck. And then the actual reviews came, and everybody else thought it sucked too. So I'm like, okay, I can't handle going to see a bad Steve Carell movie, because I just love Steve Carell so much. So I'm like, I'm going to take a pass. So I passed on it. So they're all going to flop. More likely, I mean, it's 100% guaranteed they're all going to flop. I mean, I guess, look, Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, there is potential there that maybe it could surprise some people. So I'll go Marwen is the one the most likely to flop because, you know, you got Jennifer Lopez in second act and it's comedy. That's a little bit more palatable for some people. Marwen is this great looking art film that apparently is terrible though, so it was never going to get a huge audience anyway. And I think it was the most expensive film out of the three. So I'm going to say Marwen's going to be the one that flops. Okay, where are we at now here? We are down to Johnny Granada, who writes, with more negative reviews for Aquaman creeping in, is there a chance its current 67 may drop to the rotten zone? It holds a 6 out of 10 average. Nah. We've already got hundreds. Like, here's the thing. If Aquaman currently had, like, 35 reviews being counted or 40 reviews being counted, then that 67% could fluctuate quite a bit. But we already have hundreds of the reviews are in. So you're not going to see it budge much from that 67, 68%. Might go down 1 more percent, maybe 2. Might go up 1 more percent, maybe 2. But it's going to fall in that rough range. It's going to fall in that rough range. And so, I see that kind of being where it is right now. So roughly about 7 out of 10 critics, 67, 68%. I think that's the neighborhood it's going to be in. So no, it's not going to drop or go up much from that point right now. Preston Walden writes, Aquaman, I give a B. Fun, but cheesy dialogue and acting. Yeah, there's some cheesy dialogue and some cheesy acting, but that's what they were going for, and we all know that. I agree. I go B minus, which is good for me. For me, that's good. That means I enjoyed the film and I had a good time, and I would recommend people see it. And I did that with Aquaman. I had a good time. I think the majority of you will like it. It's fun. Do they have some things I think they could have done without? Yes. Are there some elements of this film that kind of highlight some of the gray areas of James Wan's directing? A little bit, yes. But overall, fun, enjoyable package, some good laughs, some good excitement. They go pretty wild with it. So yeah, I think a B minus is probably a fair score for something like Aquaman. Let's see. Orlando Rodriguez writes, I think if Bumblebee doesn't make what the last movie, even if critics and fans love it, they go back to Bay. No. Studios are in the business of making money. Yes, studios are in the business of making money. But here's the thing. If Bumblebee does not make the money the last one made, the studios know they've got Michael Bay to blame for that. The reason Bumblebee isn't going to be a $1 billion film, and they know that, but the reason, and they also know that it's not going to be a $1 billion film, is because of Michael Bay. Because Michael Bay ran this franchise into the ground, quality-wise. And they continued to fool the audiences and get them with great marketing campaigns to keep coming back, but even that eventually, that well ran dry. When the last film took a massive dip, it wasn't because the last one was so awful, although it was awful. It was because the audience was saying, we're tired of this. And I think it made, what, $600 million? So let me just pull something over here. Let me check Transformers movies box office. Okay, so Transformers movies at the box office. So here's a great example, okay? So the last movie came out, Transformers The Last Night, all right? By far, no Transformers movie ever made under $200 million domestically. They've made 245, 319, 352, and 402 domestically. Transformers Last Night made 130 domestically. So, like, you look at Transformers The Fallen, it made like $800-something million. You look at Transformers Dark of the Moon, that made $1.1 billion. That one hit the $1 billion club. And then finally, the audiences just clued in, finally. It's like, these movies are really bad, and they did not go back out to support the next one, and it made nearly half of what that other one did, made $605 million. On a $217 million budget. On a $217 million budget. We have all been saying for a while now that Bumblebee faces a massive uphill climb because people are done with the Transformers franchise. And it's got a very bad reputation for all their films suck, except the first one, but all the rest of them suck. And it finally caught up with them. So I don't expect Bumblebee to make $600 million. Never did. Ever did I, because it's just got too much baggage it's got to deal with. The question is Bumblebee good enough that it can become the cornerstone for rebuilding the franchise from the ashes it got laid waste in by Michael Bay? And I'm not one of these anti-Michael Bay guys. There's a number of Michael Bay films I really like, including The Rock. I love The Rock. Armageddon is one of my all-time favorite guilty pleasure movies. The original Transformers movie I think is good. I think Pain and Gain is quite good. I actually like a number of Michael Bay films, but he ran the Transformers franchise into the ground. And the studios know that. And the studios know the whole reason they have to rebuild the Transformers reputation is because of what Michael Bay did with the franchise. So no, they're not expecting Bumblebee to make the same money as the last one. They're not expecting Bumblebee to make $600 million. If it does, great, but that's not what they're expecting, because they know it has too many hurdles it has to go over. They know it's starting at a huge disadvantage just to begin with right off the top. Right off the top. So, no, they're not going to go back to Michael Bay, because if Bumblebee, as expected, makes less than the last movie, they know the blame lies with Michael Bay. What they want to do is get critics and audiences to love this movie so that it's a starting foundation stone of rebuilding the franchise. Going back to Michael Bay would be just suicide. It would be franchise suicide. You don't go back to the thing that caused your problem in the first place. And that's the way they're going to go. They are never going back to Michael Bay. I guarantee it. One Mia writes, I'm with Ray. I want a Mara movie. Yeah, so Ray did the old voice of God reading out the questions yesterday for me, and he mentioned that movie should be about Mara. He hasn't even seen Aquaman yet, but he wanted his movie about Mara because she's just gorgeous. And she's really good in the movie, too. She's really good in the movie, too. Amber Heard's really quite good in it. And she looks stunning, but she always does. But, yeah, anyway. Sebastian writes. What does Sebastian write? Sebastian writes, by the way, only classic AMCs sell $20.99 annual popcorn bucket with refills for $4.49 until December 31st, 2019. Closest classic is 24 miles away. I'll do it for my kids. That's not bad. Depending on how much you go to the movies, because that's saving you like $2 per bucket of popcorn. So that means if you go to the movies just 10 times this year, just 10 times the entire year, you've made up the difference. If you go 20 times, you've doubled your money. That's a good, I wish what movie theaters do, like movie theaters give us now these movie pass things, right? These movie club options. Give me a subscription option to your concession stand. I'll tell you what, you give me a $100 cup. But this cup that's all silver and it's got the etched of the name of your movie theater franchise in it, you give me that cup and I get to fill it every time I come. I will give you $100 for that for a year. Give me $100 for the year. I'll buy it. I'll buy it like that. Hell, I might do it for like $150. Because I go to the movies a lot. And I buy a lot of Coke Zero when I'm at the movies. I wonder what the right price point for something like that would be. I wonder what the right price point, like that would make sense for the theater so they could still make money, but also make sense for us that it would be worth it for us to spend a big amount of money up front for the year. Because you're looking at an average of $5 or $6. So, yeah, you'd have to go to the movies at least 20 times in the year. So if you had $100, I'd pay it. I'd pay $100 for a golden cup and $100 for a golden collectible bucket that you just get to go and fill every time you go to the movies. I would probably pay that. Whether or not that'd be worth it for them, I'm not so sure. It certainly wouldn't be worth it for everybody because not everybody goes to the movies that often. But when you're somebody like some of you and me, it would kind of make sense. I would do that. Christopher Bickner writes, or Brickner, I should say, writes, did you know Walter Hamada was a film writer as he wrote the story for 47 Ronin starring Keanu Reeves? He hasn't written a film since. Well, he's been into the executive business and producing. Yeah, one of the neat things about Hamada was that he's not just a business executive. Like, he's been a creative in the film industry. So he's got a little bit of both. He's a hybrid. He's both. He's like Aquaman. He's of the land and of the sea. He's of the business and of the creative. And that's one of the reasons why I was always really intrigued when they announced that Walter Hamada was going to kind of be taking over the DC universe to see where he goes. That's one of the reasons why I've always kind of been on board with him doing that. So, again, I think Aquaman's a win. I do. I think Aquaman's a win. I think Shazam's going to be a win. I think Wonder Woman's going to be a win. If they can knock out 3 wins in a row, guess what that's called? That's called a winning streak. That's called momentum. And believe me, momentum's a real thing, man. Momentum's a real... But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like Walter Hamada and his pick. Sebastian writes, at least my AMC Classics has $4.99 movies before 4 o'clock. It's great, because I went... when I brought Jonathan and Ray to go see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, we saw it in IMAX, and that's like $20+ a ticket. And it was like $14. Now, that's still expensive, but it was like $8 cheaper for an IMAX screening, right? And I think the other regular screenings were under $10. It's probably, I think they're like $7 for regular screens. But for the IMAX, instead of $22, it was like $14. So it's like, hey, great. Loved it. Let's see here. Orlando Rodriguez writes, what good does it do to please critics and fans if you don't make $1 billion? Michael Bay made money. That's all studios care about. Show me the money. Yes, but here's the thing. If people, I keep trying to tell you guys this. Listen carefully. The studio people tell me this all the time because they know that this is true. If your movie's good, bad movies can make money. It's all about the marketing campaign. How does the marketing go? Is it a franchise? Is it an IP like Transformers that people already love? You market the hell out of it and put together amazing looking trailers, which the marketing departments for Paramount's always done a great job of the Transformers trailers because they're awful movies. Bad movies can make money. However, if critics love it and if the fans love it, it would have made more money. It would have made more money. Do you follow me? If the audience loved it and the critics loved it, it would have made more money. And eventually what happens in these franchises, if you keep tricking the audience, eventually they wise up and they stop going, and to the point that the Transformers franchise became a joke. So what good does it do if you please the fans and the critics? Easy. That sets you up for future success. That's what that does. Look at the DCEU. Look, man, you put out divisive film after divisive film, and what happened? You finally put out Justice League, and it made the smallest amount of money out of any of the movies that you made. Because eventually the audiences just kind of gave up on you. And that's the position Bumblebee is in. It has to fight against that. Bumblebee is in a franchise that the audience has given up on because of Michael Bay. And now they got to mount a comeback. The best way to mount a comeback is to start with a solid movie that the audience and the critics like. If the audience and the critics love it, that bodes well for the future. Because that means you're going to make more money now than you would have if they didn't. Plus, it sets you up for future success. You can start to reform the narrative. That now, because I'll tell you what, now, I've seen Bumblebee now a couple times. I don't just think of I don't think of the Transformers in negative terms now. Now, when I think Transformers, I think, I can't wait to watch the next one. That's not how I felt coming out of Transformers the last night. I did not come out of Transformers the last night going, wow, I can't wait to see the next Transformers movie. Nobody did. However, regardless of how much money Bumblebee makes, people are coming out of Bumblebee going, I can't wait to watch the next one. I can't wait to watch the next Transformers movie now. And that has changed the narrative. You can't be so short-sighted. You cannot be so short-sighted. You have to think the long game. Because it doesn't do you any good to have a moderate hit now if it means your next 3 movies are going to flop. Right? You got to think long-term. And that's what the studios are going to do here. Because Michael Bay ran them into the ground and set them up in a position where Bumblebee's now got to fight an uphill battle. But it's fighting well. And it's set them up for the future well. Because now, thinking about the Transformers franchise is no longer going to be a joke. Now people are going to think of the Transformers franchise once they see Bumblebee and think of the franchise now in more positive terms, and people will now look forward to the next one. That wasn't the case before. Not after the last night. Not after the last night. So let's see how it all kind of evolves. Lyle Naven writes, Aquaman is my new favorite DCU film. Don't get the negativity. Look, I'm somebody who likes it, but there are bad things about the movie. There are. But for the most part, the audiences like it and the critics like it. So I don't know. I don't get where you're seeing all the negativity. A big majority of the critics like it. Majority of the audiences like it. So I'm not sure. To me, it's nowhere near as good as Man of Steel. And I don't think it's quite as good as Wonder Woman. I would say Aquaman is my third favorite DCU film. I'll say it's my third favorite one. Obviously, Man of Steel is the best one they've ever made. And I would just give the slight edge to Wonder Woman over it. But it's a good movie. Yeah, it's a good movie. But there are bad things about it. There are. Like, we as film fans have to have thick enough skin to go, yep, movies I hate, I can acknowledge the good things in them. That doesn't change the fact that I still think overall it's a bad film. And films that I really like, yeah, I'm secure enough in my opinion that I can say, yeah, this was a weakness in the film, and that's a weakness of the film, but overall worked for me. I liked it. It's my favorite. But, there are scenes that required emotional touches. James Wan is one of my favorite filmmakers. But let's be honest, the emotional touch is not his strongest suit. It never has been in his movies. He's super strong in a lot of different areas. That's never been his strongest suit. And you could see that play out in several scenes, several key scenes in this movie to me. I want to give some specific examples, but I can't because I don't want to give away any spoilers. But, we've been talking like, I'm sorry, the octopus playing the drums should not have been there. Shouldn't have been there. The whole ESPN score thing, pros, cons, that should not have been there. The end credits scene was kind of lame. There are things about it, but overall it's a good film. It's an enjoyable film. People like it. And I think I don't see where you're seeing all this negativity, Lyle. The majority of the critics like it. The majority of the audiences like it. So everybody wins, man. Let's see. Haskell 420 writes, John, thank you for the great year of excellent shows and teaming up with Robert again. May you and your families have a happy holiday and New Year's. May 2019 be filled with lots of love, laughter, happiness, and good health. Thank you so much, Haskell. And, 2018 was just a mind-blowingly fantastic year. It was so great. Personally, I had a great year. Me and Ann have had a lot of great memories this year. The channel has not only survived, it's thrived. We moved into the new studio. We just had like the first show that we do at our studio has now been picked up on Netflix, is now playing on Netflix in the UK. More countries to come with our show, Hey Queen, with the great Johnny McGovern hosting that. We have more shows coming. I'm excited about. It's just been a stupid good year. And it's just made me more thankful for you guys and allowing me to be a part of this community with you. It's just been awesome. So thank you so much, Haskell. And may all of us have a fabulous 2019 as we get ready to head into that. All right. Mad Real Cinema writes, I want to see more of the Green Goblin from Spider-Verse. When he first appeared, I was like, oh, damn, is it just me? Oh, yeah, totally different incarnation. First of all, Scorpion was a different incarnation, at least that I've ever really seen. That Green Goblin was a totally different kind of Green Goblin. I don't want to go into too much just in case some of it is spoilers, but it is really cool. Doc Ock was a great change. It's really cool seeing an alternate versions of not just our hero in Miles Morales, seeing an alternate version of Spider-Man, but also seeing alternate versions of these classic Spider-Man villains at the same time, right? That was really interesting to see too. And I'm with you, man. I was kind of left, how is that Green Goblin? Like, I wanted to know more, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was a great moment of the film, and it was very early on, but yeah, no, man, believe me, Mad Real Cinema, it was not just you. I was there too. All right. I'm Upset writes, after Die Hard 5, I don't get why you would do another one. The last one was god-awful, and it ruined the franchise. Just let it die. It didn't ruin the franchise. Die Hard 1 is still great. Die Hard 2 is still pretty good. Die Hard 3 is still amazing. It didn't do anything to those films. I don't get that when people say it ruined the franchise. Really? So now you watch Die Hard 1 and you don't enjoy it anymore? Really? Of course you do. Of course you do. And Die Hard 3, I know it's sacrilegious. I still think Die Hard 3 is the best. The one with Samuel L. Jackson. That, to me, is the best one. I enjoy that one more than any other. But it doesn't ruin the franchise. Did it kill the franchise? Did it put a stop? It should have. I'll be honest. I don't understand why they're doing another one either. I don't. But, hey, it's a recognizable IP. If they think they've got a great idea and there's a potential there for them to make some money, go for it. More power to you. That's great. I don't see how that's going to work, but they clearly do. So I'm with you on that. I'm upset. I'd say just let it go. But who knows? I mean, look, who knows? Maybe this next one comes out and is the best one of the franchise. Unlikely, but it's possible. We'll have to see. Sebastian writes, like Austin Powers, Aquaman at 1 billion. Austin Powers knows it. Oh, okay. To be clear, the scene where he asked for 1 million, Aquaman will make $1 billion. I still don't see it. I mean, we can keep saying it. I still don't see it. I do not see Aquaman making $1 billion. I don't even see Aquaman making 800 million. But I never thought Venom would make 800 million. And look at where we're at. Venom made $854 million. And I never thought it would. So I don't think Aquaman's going to get to $1 billion. I also don't even think it's going to get to 800 million, but it doesn't need to. I think it's going to make a lot of money. I think it's going to be very successful. But I just don't see 800 million in the cards. But who knows? Maybe, like I said, I didn't think Venom would either. I think it would be great if Aquaman did. I would love it if it did, but we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. Murray Reich writes, Ravens versus Chargers, Packers versus Jets, Texans versus Eagles, Chiefs versus Seahawks, who you got a lot of great games this weekend. I'm taking the Chargers. They might be the second best team in the league right now. And guess what? I don't think the LA Rams or the Chiefs are the two best teams in the league. I think the two best teams in the league right now, I think the New Orleans Saints and the Los Angeles Chargers. I think those are the two best teams in the league right now. I really do. So I'm going to take the Chargers in that, even though the Ravens have been playing much better recently. I'm going to take the Packers over the Jets. I just don't see... I can't buy into the Jets. Even though this has not been a great year for the Packers, I just do not buy the Jets. Texans versus Eagles look, Eagles just had a big win last week, but Texans, after they had a shaky start, they've been playing great. I'm going to go with the Texans on that. And oddly enough, I'm going to take the Seahawks over the Chiefs. Not because anything bad about the Chiefs, but the Seahawks are playing for their playoff lives right now. And they've been playing much better football the second half of the season. So I'm going to take the Seahawks over the Chiefs. So they're all close, though. I mean, I could go over on all those picks. I could easily go over on all those picks, but that's the way I'm leaning. Rami J. Royster writes, Marvel's Runaways is back tonight. Yeah, that's the first thing Ann said to me. So I roll out of bed before Ann does. I start getting my stuff together, blah, blah, blah. So then as I'm in my studio here, she went downstairs, started making us breakfast, which is really great. I love it when she works from home because she makes us breakfast. And I go downstairs, and the first thing she says to me before saying good morning is, Runaways is back. And I'm like, yep, Runaways is back. So that's probably something we're going to be doing tonight, sitting down and watching some Runaways. I love Runaways. I thought season 1 was fantastic. I cannot wait to watch season 2. Sebastian writes, how come Tessa Thompson doesn't get Emily Blunt? I don't know what you mean. How come Tessa Thompson doesn't get Emily Blunt? I don't know what you're asking. What do you mean she doesn't get her? Sorry, Sebastian. I don't know what it is you're asking. Now I get likes, writes, the Sam Raimi suit is on the Spider-Man game now. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, first, they can the neat thing about the game is they can just upload their content anytime and kind of upload all that stuff. So that's kind of cool that stuff's in there. Der Wunderbar writes, in technical terminology, he's a loon. Oh, that sounds familiar. I don't know. You stumped me on that one. I don't know what that one's from. You guys in the chat board, if you know what that's from, throw it into the chat board there. Ben Rayner writes, would you consider live top 10s so we could also give our list? Yeah, I could. I mean, look, I guess I could. I mean, when I do my top 10 films, like I always pre-record my top 10s at the end of the years. I always pre-record that. I pre-record my top 10 and my worst 10. I always do pre-record them. But if you guys want, I mean, I don't know if you guys are interested or not. If you're interested in me doing those videos live, I can do them live. I guess I hadn't really thought about it before, but let me think about it. If you guys have an opinion on that, email me. Email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. My email address is john@thejohncampeashow.com. So if you got an opinion on that, send it in. Because if enough of you guys want me to do it live, I'll do it live. I am a servant of the people. Or in my Bane voice, you, the people. I mean, yeah, I'll do it live if you guys want me to. Just let me know. I hadn't really thought about it. All right, Anthony R. writes, now that you have a PlayStation 4, you can buy the complete Kingdom Hearts collection for $40. 6 games. It's called Kingdom Hearts: The Story So Far Collection. Well, since I've never even played Kingdom Hearts, I'm probably not likely to buy a collection. I've never even played the game. So I still want to get through, I've got a few games in order here I have to do. I need to get through Spider-Man. Then I need to get through, my next game after Spider-Man is God of War. I got to get through that. By the way, sometime in the next couple of days before we leave for Canada, Ann and I are going to do Spider-Man Play and Chat. And I think I'm going to rename it to Help John Play Spider-Man. Because you guys can just tell me what to do. Because I'm terrible at console video games. I'm just awful at them. So I'll call it Play and Chat and Help John Play Spider-Man. So you guys, and I'll have Ann here with me and we'll do that. So we're going to do more. So right now, the games on my queue are, I got to get through Spider-Man. Once I'm done with Spider-Man, I'm going to go to God of War. Then once I'm done God of War, I'm going to do Shadow of Mordor. Because I just bought that for $4 at GameStop. So everybody's was telling me, so I got to play that. Then I got to play Red Dead Redemption. Because I figure once I get through all those other games, everybody tells me Red Dead Redemption 2 is a pretty tricky game. So I should be good to go on Red Dead Redemption 2 once I get through all those other games. Then I'll be looking for my next new game. But I got to get through those ones first. I got to do Spider-Man, God of War, Shadow of Mordor, Red Dead Redemption 2. Once I get through those, then I'll look for a new game. ZCM Zombie Custom Maps writes, Raimi's suit is now on Spider-Man PS4. Somebody else just said that. Who was it that just said that? Now I get likes, and ZCM are totally on the same wavelength, guys. There you go. Krypton Caged writes, why is nobody talking about the fact that visual effects company ILM that worked on most Marvel movies worked on Aquaman? Well, ILM is obviously one of the biggest visual effects companies in the world. They work on a lot of movies. And there were about 12 visual effects companies that worked on Aquaman. And actually, that's what you see a lot of nowadays. A lot of these big firms, it's not just one visual effects company, because there's too many visual effects in movies these days, and especially these big ones like Aquaman or Avengers or things like that. You can't have one. And what you'll often see is if you watch the credits, it'll say, Digital Domain, visual effects by Digital Domain. Then it'll say visual effects by Computer Post, visual effects by Rainmaker, visual effects by, visual effects by, visual effects, and there'll be like 12 visual effects companies. So ILM works on a hell of a lot of visual effects movies. Not like they only do 2 or 3 a year. They work on a lot of visual effects on a lot of films, and a lot of different companies work on any one given movie. So keep your eyes open on that. Der Wunderbar writes, the Emoji Movie should have a big sticker on it saying avoid. It is difficult to put into words. There are some movies that are so bad, it's hard to put into words just how bad they are. And the Emoji Movie is absolutely one of those films that is just so outrageously awful that it's hard to explain to somebody just how bad it is. Like, it's not even so bad it's good. It's just so bad it's unwatchable. I cannot believe anybody greenlit that movie. I really can't. Like, just from a script point of view, you can tell it's awful. I don't know how that movie ever got made. I really don't. I even considered adding it to that unholy triumvirate of the worst wide-release Hollywood big films ever made, which are Catwoman, The Highlander 2, and Battlefield Earth. It's so bad I almost considered putting it up there with them. It didn't quite get there, but it's like I said, it's difficult to describe just how bad that movie is. Eric Saul writes, my comic book guy got me hooked on your channel months back. Oh, that's awesome, Eric. Thanks for sharing that. And thank your comic book guy for me. And I want to say thank you for all the content you give us. 2019 is going to be a fantastic year for movies, and hope you have a happy holiday. Dude, there's so many amazing looking movies coming out next year. I mean, Shazam, we're talking about Aquaman, right? I'm really looking forward to Shazam. I loved the trailer. I thought they nailed exactly the type of tone you should go for with a Shazam movie. There may be other people that were hoping for different things. That's fine. But I think the things you needed to do in a Shazam movie, they nailed in tone with the trailer. And I'm really looking forward to that. We got Lion King coming. We've got Once Upon a Time in Hollywood coming. How good does that look? We got Avengers Endgame coming. We got Star Wars Episode 9 coming. We've got Aladdin coming. We got Toy Story 4 coming. We've got, there are so many magnificent, fun-looking movies coming out this year. I cannot wait. It's going to be a great year for movies. I'm so excited about it. And again, Eric, I'm so excited you're here as well and you're joining us. And again, please, all honesty, please tell your comic book guy, thank you on my behalf for spreading the good word and being an evangelist for the John Campea Show. Tell him I appreciate that very much. All right, let's move on here. Another Eric, Eric G. And we take the big jump. And where are we here? Eric G. writes, saw Bumblebee. I can't believe I liked a Transformers movie. Only thing I didn't like was John Cena. I really didn't like his acting. I'm with you on that, Eric. Here's the thing about John Cena. John Cena has shown us in things like Sisters and Trainwreck. I think that's the name of the movie he's in. Anyway, with Amy Schumer. That you put John Cena in the right type of scene, he's got certain comedic sensibilities and certain comedic timing that he can really work if you put him in the right type of role and the right kind of scene. That being said, in movies like Blockers and now Transformers, he's also shown that he is not ready for any type of a major role in a film. He could not carry Blockers. There are moments in Blockers that he works quite well, and then moments in Blockers when he's acting alongside a comedy great like Leslie Mann just makes him look bad. Because she's a pro at this, and he kind of fumbles his way through it. And then in Bumblebee as well, there's moments that, by the way, I'm not going to spoil it, but the Decepticon, there's a line John Cena gives in Bumblebee regarding Decepticons. That is one of the best moments of the movie. It's great. There are moments in Bumblebee that his particular tool set really shines, but there's also moments in Bumblebees where it's like, oh, that's right, he's not an actual actor. He's not an actual actor. Put him in a small part with the right type of role, he'll nail it. But he is not ready to carry a film. No matter how big his shoulders are, he is not ready to carry a film. And I will agree with you that my one significant weakness of the film was John Cena. Again, he shows glimpses of what he could become, that he could become better and that he could really do quite well in certain things and he could develop. He shows glimpses of that even in Bumblebee. Like I said, he's got a few moments in Bumblebee he really shines. And I'll be curious to watch how he evolves. But I think the overall message for the last couple of years with movies like Blockers and movies like Transformers Bumblebee is that he's not there yet. He's not there yet. And so I'm going to agree with you on that. Monkey of all DJs writes, so Toronto and Winnipeg are tied for second overall in the league. Over under chances we could have these two in the Stanley Cup Finals. Again, I don't think this is Toronto's year. I think they've made huge improvements this year. I'm looking more towards next season. So you can't just say over under. You got to give me a number. You got to say over under and then give me a certain percentage to give you. So I don't know. But honestly, I don't think either of them end up in the Stanley Cup Final this year. I don't think either of them do. Wouldn't it be amazing if they did? If you had two Canadian teams in the Stanley Cup Final? I can't even remember the last time that happened. I think you're going back to the 70s or 60s that happened, like before my time. But it would be awesome if it did, though. It would be awesome if it did. Der Wunderbar writes, first time I saw Jason Momoa was as Ronan Dex in Stargate Atlantis. Great performance. I liked him in that. And that also, for me, was the first time I ever saw Jason Momoa. He was in that. And then I remember, and by the way, I thought he was really good in a bad movie, a Sylvester Stallone movie called Bullet to the Head, But he was in that, and I thought, this guy's actually quite good. This guy, this big lug of a guy, this Jason Momoa, this guy's actually quite good. And I liked him in that role a lot. And it was bullet to the head that made me think, this guy, depending on the vision of Batman you have, this guy could be a good Batman. I remember I said that for a while on my shows. I said, this guy, Jason Momoa, you might remember him from Stargate Atlantis. He's in Bullet to the Head right now. This guy could be a good Batman. Because I thought he was quite good in Bullet to the Head, even though the movie overall wasn't all that good. And then, look, the script for the Conan movie was bad. I mean, that movie started great. It loses its way pretty fast. But I thought Jason Momoa brought it. Then, of course, a lot of people know him from Game of Thrones and now, obviously, Aquaman. That's why I got really excited when they announced him as Aquaman. Okay, let's move on here. ZOMG Ruler writes, surprisingly, my dad said Spider-Verse plot was weak. Oh, I thought the plot was quite good. I have no problems with movies that I like if I don't think the plot's all that good, right? You hear me. Lots of movies I like, I go, the plot wasn't the... I thought the plot for Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse was quite good. I thought it was really quite good. But hey, ZOMG Ruler, that's the subjectivity of film. Not everybody likes the same things. It hits us in different ways, and maybe the plot for him didn't work, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Sebastian writes, if your subs don't have A-list by January 8th, 2019, and near AMC, 1 year commitment to stay at $19.95. My price goes to $23.95 in July. Bumblebee better than Aquaman. A lot of things in there. And yes, AMC is going to raise their price by 15% in some markets. It's going to go up. And to me, I have no issue with that whatsoever. I have zero issue with that whatsoever. As long as you keep offering me AMC A-List at a price point that offers me as the consumer true value, then I have no problem with you upping your price point a bit. Because let's just say, it's unfair. $20 a month for, like I said, one Dolby screening is a $22 ticket. I am making my money back on one movie, and I can go to 3 a week? I can go to 12 movies a month. None of us should complain if AMC raises that price a bit. None of us should complain if they raise that price a bit. Because we are getting overwhelming value with this card. So if they up it to 23, 24, 25, I have no issue with that. Hell, even if they upped it to 30, I have no issue with that. Because I'm still making that up in just 2 movies. And I'm using this damn thing 8 to 10 times a month. The other month I used my full 12, but I'm using this thing 8 to 10 times a month. So I'm getting like $200 worth of tickets. I'm getting like $200 worth of tickets. I ain't going to complain if you up the price for those $200 of tickets to $30 from $20. I ain't going to complain. But yeah, you're right. You get in, because I think if you get it now, you get a 1 year lock for your price. I think. I could be wrong about that. You may be wrong about that, Sebastian, but look into that. But highly encourage everybody to get into A-List. I really do. All right. Corey Timmons writes, happy holidays, John. Hope yours is great. Thank you so much, Corey. Question is, if Spider-Verse can work, I think other multiverse stories can work too. What do you think? I mean, look, anything can work. Anything can work. But is it a good idea? Generally, no. I think Spider-Man Spider-Verse was an exception. They had a very specific story that was very unique to that required a multiverse kind of approach. An idea with all these different Spider-Men in the same world. Okay, that requires a multiverse. Approach. But that does not mean you should rush out and make more multiverse movies. If anything, I think they should not do multiverse movies. There are movies that handle time travel really well. Like Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, or obviously like a Back to the Future, right? But just because those work doesn't mean you should run out and make more time travel movies, because for the most part, I think they're kind of weak. Any movie can work. Any movie about any premise. Look, if you can make a movie about plastic building blocks called Lego and make a movie that works. You can make anything work. You can. Anything can work. Doesn't mean and that doesn't necessarily mean everything's a good idea. So can it? Yes, it can. But I don't think it's a good idea. And by the way, Spider-Man made $35 million opening weekend. Is multiverse stuff the things that audiences are going to rush out to in droves? I don't think so. I don't think so. So can you? Yeah. Will I instantly dismiss any movie that tries doing multiverse stuff? No, I won't instantly dismiss it, but I don't think it has a very high chance of working, but it's possible. Spider-Verse is proof of that. It's possible. But again, Felipe the sentient dancing microphone. You can make a movie about anything and it can work. Anything can. Doesn't always mean it's a good idea, though. Act Naturally Productions writes, I know you didn't like the second post-credit scene for Ant-Man and the Wasp, but what if that the ant on the drums will be the one that gets Scott out of the quantum realm? Yeah, I thought that was... The ant on the drums thing was dumb. Didn't like it. And everybody knows that. But I still like the movie. I thought the movie was quite good. But, and no, I do not think the ant is going to be the guy that gets him out of the quantum realms. I put the ant playing the drums on the same level as the octopus playing the drums in the Aquaman movie. I put those two guys on the same level. All right. Styler Manu writes, Merry Christmas to you and Ann. Enjoy Canada. Thank you so much, Styler. Yeah, Ann and I are leaving Sunday night. We are taking a red-eye flight Sunday night and landing early morning, Christmas morning. I think we land at like 5 or 6 in the morning, Christmas Eve. Not Christmas morning, Christmas Eve morning. About 5 or 6 in the morning on Christmas Eve is when we land. So, looking, I can't put in words. Like, you guys have heard me say this. I like LA. I do. I like LA very much. A lot of things I love about this city, but I miss home. I miss home so much. I came, you guys have heard this story, but I came to the United States with my plan for being here for 1 year. I was going to come here for 1 year, build some connections, meet a lot of the people that I had been conversing with because I was doing my movie stuff from home in Canada. And I planned to come down here for 1 year. Of course, I met Anne, fell in love, can't imagine my life without her, blah, 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 blah. And so I ended up staying. And so now I stay for her. I stay for Anne. And because her career is here, her family's here. I mean, my career, I can up and move anywhere I want to go. I could move to Sweden. I can move to Sweden and do my job from Sweden. I just need a good internet connection. I need my computer. I need my cameras. I need my lights. And I need my community. That's all I need. I can go anywhere. This past year, we got this one binge of excitement because we found out that there's a Hasbro office in the Toronto area. And she and I both got excited, like, because Anne knows how bad I want to move home. She knows how bad I want to move home. I miss home so much. But anyway, there's a Hasbro office in Toronto. And we're like, maybe she can work out of the Toronto office. But it's an office that does totally different things than Anne does. So it's like, that shot that down. But thank you. I am looking forward to going home. I cannot wait to go home. It's my favorite time of the year that I get to go home. And hopefully this will be a year that I get to do more of that and go home more often. Let's see. Marcus Robert Johnson writes, come watch me box in Madison, Wisconsin, March 15th in the Golden Gloves tournament, bro. I'll pay for your hotel, man. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you for that so much. I've been to Wisconsin, by the way. I don't know that I've ever been to Madison, Wisconsin. I've been to Wisconsin. Really had only once, had a good time there. That sounds like a lot of fun. I will probably be a little busy. But I'll tell you what, Marcus, if you get anybody shooting some video footage of that, please share it with me when you make your, when you do that there. That would be great to see. I'd appreciate that. So thanks for sharing that, Marcus, and thanks for the offer. I don't think I can make it, but thank you for the offer. I appreciate it very much. Zen Jamabu writes, hello, John. First time doing Super Chat. Well, thank you so much, Zem Jamabu. I appreciate that. Sony just released a very special Christmas mini album. It includes songs sung by Shamik Moore, Chris Pine, Jake Johnson. Have you listened to it? Thanks. No, but if it's Chris Pine, I want to be careful about what I should say and what I shouldn't say. Because I was going to say, oh yeah, well, Chris Pine is something about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but I guess I can't say it. Zen, you've put me in a rough spot here. All I'll say is this. I have not heard or listened to it yet. I will probably jump online as soon as we're done to listen to it and see what it is I'm missing out of. I assume some of it comes from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, because you mentioned Chris Pine and Jake Johnson. And I'm going to assume it includes the song that is sung in the movie and maybe in the credits. I don't know that for certain, but I'm definitely going to go check that out. Thanks for putting that on my radar, Zen. All right. Adam K. writes, saw Instant Family and I loved it. Big surprise. I enjoyed it too. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was great. But hey, it was what it was. Unfortunately, I'm surprised it didn't get more. I honestly thought, look, I was never expecting it to be a huge hit, but I honestly thought we'd get more people out to it to see it than it did. But look, Mark Wahlberg can work in a lot of different things. Mark Wahlberg can do action. He can do comedy. Mark Wahlberg, you know what? I'm going to say this. I think he's underrated. I think Mark Wahlberg's a little underrated. He's not the strongest dramatic actor in the world. He's not the strongest comedic actor in the world. But as an actor, he's got a lot of tools in his belt that he can do a lot of different things. Maybe not be the best at all those things, but there's not a lot of actors who can do the type of range that he can do, which is actually pretty damn impressive. Alan Gonzalez writes, oh my gosh, it's already almost like 10:30. Okay. Alan Gonzalez writes, congrats, John. As long as you keep your show up, I will keep watching. Happy holidays. Thank you so much, Alan. I appreciate that, man. And happy holidays to you, and happy holidays to everybody out there. I hope you have a fantastic season, including you, Alan, and thanks again for the well wishes. I appreciate that, dude. All right, Raymond Verada writes, I loved Aquaman. Tamara Morrison is now father to two badass characters, Aquaman and Boba Fett. His younger John Campea looks like man from Atlantis. I mean, it's funny because I was even talking to Robert saying, don't call him that. Call him Jango Fett. That's his name. I don't see him in very much. It was actually kind of jarring in a good way. It was jarring in a good way. When I first saw the trailer with him in it, I'm like, wait a Jango Fett, everybody, Jango Fett's in a movie. It's Jango Fett. And I was so excited to see that. And yes, he is now the father of two great characters, Aquaman and Boba Fett. I didn't think of it in those terms. I've never thought of it in those terms. But that's really true. I got a big kick out of seeing him in it. I did. I got a really big kick out of seeing him in that movie. And I thought he was great. I buy him as Aquaman's dad. The way he plays it, I totally buy him as Aquaman's dad. Totally did. I really liked his involvement in there. And by the way, that stuff with standing on the end of the dock, I'm not going to say what that's about for those of you who haven't seen the movie, but the stuff about standing on the end of the dock, very nice. Very, very nice stuff. All right. Let's see here. Sprite Bear writes, who will get the Oscar for Best Actor? I said Raimi. Now, Raimi's not going to get it. I think Raimi will get nominated. Let me, hold a second. Let me bring this up here. Let me see what we got. Okay. So, where are our actors? John David Washington's going to be hard to beat. Bradley Cooper, even though I don't think Bradley Cooper should win, he was very good in A Star is Born. He will be hard to beat. Lucas Hedges is going to get some attention for Boy Erased. John David Washington, Denzel's son, is going to get some attention for Black Klansman for sure. Rami Malek, I think, will absolutely get a nomination. I think it would be a crying shame if he didn't get a nomination. I think he absolutely should. I think Christian Bale might be your favorite for Vice. Viggo Mortensen, he won the... Viggo Mortensen already won Best Actor of the Year for the National Board of Review. And so he's going to get a lot of attention for Green Book as well. So, I mean, there's just... No, I don't think it's going to be Rami Malek. I do think Rami Malek's going to end up getting a nomination, but I don't see him winning. Rugo Kelvin just sends in a super chat to support the channel. Thank you so much, Rugo. I appreciate that, man. BMC writes, oops, had another little jump here. BMC writes, damn near left the theater when Pitbull came on. Oh, you're talking about in Aquaman. Yeah. I remember going in. There's a scene in the movie where there's a Pitbull version of Rains in Africa, the song. And I remember going into the movie the second time I saw it, and one of the guys who came with us was my buddy Soul. And my buddy Soul said, I'm just here to hear Pitbull's version of Rain in Africa, the Rains in Africa. And he was saying it facetiously. But you know what? It fit the scene for me. It was fine. It was fine. But yeah, I could get why you would have that reaction, BMC. Sebastian writes, your soda cup idea is awesome. Shorter lines also. Yeah, I mean, look, think about it. If you sold a silver $100 a year cup, then I don't even have to go stand the concession line. I'm one less person taking up time in the concession line. I can go straight to the soda machine, fill it up, go to my seat. Right? So it kills a couple birds with one stone. Problem solved. See, Sebastian? It could work. It might, maybe. There might be some drawbacks to it that I'm just not thinking about. Jordan Joseph writes, I'm an MCU loyalist, but I enjoyed Aquaman. See, that's the thing. It's great to be an MCU fan. It's great to be a DCU fan. But give the movies of the other studios and brands a shot. Don't go, no, I just hate Aquaman because it's a DC movie. I'm a corporate zombie slave. Nah, it's cool to be a big fan of MCU. But if you see a good movie from DC, you go, you know what? That's a good movie. That was fun. You gotta be able to appreciate all. See, that's what still to this day people say, John, do you consider yourself an MCU fan or a DCU fan? See, neither. I consider myself a fan of comic book movies. I don't care which corporate label's on it. Make a good movie, I'll appreciate it. If it sucks, I'll say it sucks. It's just that simple. So I'm just a fan of comic book movies. So I think you're taking the right approach there, Jordan. Santez Henderson writes, I'm sorry, I just didn't like Aquaman. Not good for me. And you have nothing wrong with that, Santez. Not every movie's going to be for everybody. I mean, like I said, I can totally see that there will be people that don't like this movie. It is kind of wacky. It is cheesy in places. So, yeah, absolutely. I get it. Rob even thinks up to half the people won't like it. I think more than half the people will like it. But never say you're sorry for not liking a movie, man. If you watch it and it didn't hit you the right way, then it didn't hit you the right way. That's a subjectivity film. No apologies needed. It's not going to be for everybody. That's for sure. Let's see here. Act Naturally Productions writes, stop knocking the Emoji Movie. I went on one of the funniest dates to see it. One of the funnest dates to see it. We were the only two in the theater and we yelled at the movie the whole time. Well, listen, that is the other great things about the movie, right? Sometimes your experience of going to a movie can be completely independent of the movie itself. There are movies I've seen that were not good movies, but I treasure the experience of going to it because of the people I was with and things that we did and blah, 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 blah. So that is one of the beautiful things about the movies, is that you can have this great experience with it, even like completely independent of the movie itself. But no, Act Naturally. I will never stop bagging on the Emoji Movie. That movie is an abomination against all that is holy and good. But hey, man, if you had a great time at it, that's awesome. I celebrate that with you. All right, D-Day08 writes, doing a triple header tonight, Aquaman, Bumblebee, Mule, nice. Nice little mix of movies there too, like throwing, I mean, Bumblebee and Aquaman, same genre. You're gonna have a great time, both of those. Nice that you're throwing in a different kind of movie in there to just kind of mix it up a little bit with the Mule. See, too many people do these double or triple headers and they just do it the same kind of movies. It's really nice when you mix it up like that, D-Day. So I think that's a good move on your part. Michael Alton writes, have you seen Travelers on Netflix from Stargate 1 creator? I have not. I'll be honest with you, Michael. I've never even heard of it. But if it's from the Stargate SG-1 creator, I'm going to have to check that out because I like Stargate SG-1. All right, I'll put that on my radar. Thank you for putting it. I know nothing about it. Tell you what I did watch yesterday, though. I had about an hour to kill because I was eating lunch while I was rendering some stuff. And I finally got around to watching episode 1 of that BBC show Bodyguard that everybody is losing their minds over. And I watched episode 1. I'm like, and I'm hooked. on that. That was a great first episode. I'm completely hooked. And they do things with their lead characters you'd never see them do with their hero characters. Totally unique. I am hooked. I cannot wait to watch it. There's only 6 episodes too, so I'm already 1/6 of the way through it. But I got to check out this Travelers thing. All right. Preston Walden writes, last 3 questions of the day, guys. Please do not send in any more Super Chat questions. We've already gone overtime. We're going to wrap it up here. Preston Walden writes, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you so much, Preston, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well. I hope you have a great one with friends and family. Rickist Ricky, I like that name, writes, wish Momoa was cast as Lobo instead of Aquaman. Well, I mean, it all depends, right? See, here's the thing about having casting choices in your head before the movie ever exists. You don't know what kind, let's say a Lobo movie ever happens. By the way, they're not going to make a Lobo movie just so they can have a certain actor play it. That's not how it works. But let's say they do make a Lobo movie. You don't know if the Lobo they write is at all a good fit for Jason Momoa or not. There's a certain vision of Lobo in your head you have that Momoa might fit. But that might not be the Lobo they write. They might write a 10 times better Lobo than that, but Jason Momoa is not the right fit for it. You know what I mean? I think Jason Momoa was a great choice for this version of Aquaman. I think Momoa is a great choice for this version of Aquaman that they created. But it's not just about the character. It's about the version of the character they try to go for. Right? So that's why when people ask me, John, who should play this? I go, I don't care. Because I don't know the script. I don't know what kind of that character they're going for. So to me, that's why whenever anybody asks me on my show, John, what actor should play this role? I always say the same thing. I don't care. As long as it's a talented actor or actress, that's all I care about. You put in a talented actor, then I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that you got the right guy for that role or the right girl for that role, whichever one. But again, everybody jumps in and goes, oh, they should get this person for this role. But you don't even know what that character is going to be like in that movie yet. So how can you say that actor would do well in that? We don't know. So I just kind of fall back to, as long as it's a good actor, then I'm okay. And this version of Aquaman, a mix between the late 80s, early 90s Aquaman that went Kurt Cobain with his long hair, gristled look. He lost a hand and had a spike for a hand instead. You remember that Aquaman? They went for a mixture of that Aquaman with the new 52 Aquaman and kind of blended those two things into one thing. And Jason Momoa ended up being a really good pick for that. But if they went with a different kind of vision of Aquaman, then Jason Momoa wouldn't have been a good pick for it. So it really all depends. All right. Final question of the day comes to us from Rugo Kelvin, who writes, hey, John, been watching your show since the AMC days back in Nigeria. Oh, wow. Thanks so much, Rugo. Did Star Wars fans actually petition the Obama government to build a Death Star, or was this some kind of joke? Okay, I'm trying to remember this correctly. I think Obama actually... I think Obama himself said something. It was, I believe, I'll have to go back and look into it, but I believe it was all just one big joke. It wasn't based on anything serious. I think Obama made a joke about something like that once. And then people started like, yes, it started just this joke petition to, yes, Mr. Obama, do that. Yes, President Obama, please do that. But he just said it as a joke one time that I think kind of took on a life of its own. But I don't think anybody was serious about it. But again, I'd have to go back and look at that. But I think I remember it. I think I remember it started with Obama making a joke, and it was hilarious. And then people saying, yes, do that. And then kind of creating a thing. But again, I think even everybody who did that, it was just some fun. So I'm going to go out on a limb, Rugo, here and say that that was just a joke. And I think everybody understood that. But that's just me. All right, guys, that will do it for today's Friday installment, the final episode of this week of the John Campea Show. There was really more of an open mic than anything else, but thank you so much for being here. Again, don't forget, tomorrow we're going to be doing a live Bumblebee spoiler review, and Sunday, a live Aquaman spoiler discussion review. Make sure you guys can join us for that. I think I'm going to be aiming for about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on both of those days. Make sure you join me for that. I'll put out on my social media the exactly what time. It's going to be in the afternoon, somewhere between 1 and 3 or 1 and 4 p.m. I'll put it on my Twitter exactly what time we're doing those. If you've seen those movies, I hope you come by and join us for those open spoiler discussions. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for me for this week. Thanks so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.